Good evening, families. My name is Heather Deere, and I am the Assistant Director of Parent and Family Programs here at William & Mary. Thank you so much for joining us this evening for Beers and Cheers with the Virginia Beer Company. You may be wondering, why are we hosting this event during Family Weekend? I'm proud to say that the Virginia Beer Company is an integral part of Family Weekend every single year, and although you can't be with us on campus or in Williamsburg this weekend, I'm excited to showcase their flagship beers with you. All right, welcome Chris and Robbie.
Thank you very much. Yeah, thanks for being here.
Okay, before we get started, I have to try one of these beers.
I like the way you think.
Yeah.
So the first beer we're going to sample is called Saving Daylight, and I think one of the things that makes our brewery a little unique, we opened with 4 flagship beers. So we had never been open to the public, no one had ever paid $1 for any of our liquid, and we said, you know what, 4 of these beers are going to be flagships. They are going to be here year-round, year after year, and to our credit, 3 of those 4 have actually been with us since day one of which was Saving Daylight. So Saving Daylight is one of our most approachable beers. It's a super crisp and refreshing wheat ale with dried grapefruit and dried orange peel. So really refreshing, a little bit of grassy notes, and then just a subtle, kind of pleasing bite at the end, so you know it's still a beer.
At 4.9%, it's actually my favorite as well. I prefer lower alcohol beers in general, so this is the beer I find myself drinking most often out of our flagship lineup.
So why Williamsburg for your location of a craft brewery? And how did you arrive at the idea of a craft brewery?
So the crazy thing about Williamsburg is that it seems now like it was the obvious choice.
Graduated from William & Mary in 2007 with economics and history degrees. Went on to work in corporate finance for about 5 or 6 years, and then returned to Williamsburg in 2012 to begin the process of opening the Virginia Beer Company.
I'm a class of '05 alum. I first met Chris at the William & Mary Phone-a-thon, and we stayed in touch after graduation. Like Chris said, we started getting together to talk about opening a brewery. I moved back shortly thereafter, and because of our relationship with the college, the fact that we both graduated from William & Mary, that Chris's wife Erin graduated from William & Mary, and Chris's youngest brother Will graduated from William & Mary, so there's a pretty rich history of William & Mary and the Virginia Beer Company. But when we first started talking about breweries, we thought it was too obvious. We said, there's no way we should be going back to our college town to open a brewery. That seems like a dream come true, first of all. Local heroes returned to Williamsburg to open a brewery, but the longer we looked at it and the longer we actually wrote out a full business plan and didn't just talk about opening a brewery over beers, the more we realized that Williamsburg was not just the emotional reason to come back because of the college, but also to build a successful business, and Williamsburg offered both of those.
You mentioned this briefly. How has William & Mary helped you along the way?
Being alums of William & Mary and coming back to Williamsburg has made a huge difference for us. We wouldn't see nearly the success we've been lucky to have, without William & Mary. There's all those things that we needed to open the business. We had these immediate connections.
Old professors who helped us with our business plan.
Yeah, and it's unbelievable the assistance that we did receive. And then beyond that, once we've opened now, all the partnerships that we've had with William & Mary that we really treasure, the beers we've done for William & Mary, all these things that we get to do, I think we feel really lucky that we have that connection.
It's a wonderful community for sure.
Definitely.
What's next?
So this is Freeverse. So Freeverse is an India Pale Ale. It's actually our best seller. It's another flagship beer. It was with us on day one. It's been with us ever since. We use kind of East Coast focused hops called Azaka, which give off tropical and grapefruit flavors. And then we use more West Coast focused hops called Chinook, which give off those more traditional piney flavors. And so you get a blend of both. It's approachable if you're not an IPA drinker because you get some of that fruit hue, which is all from the hops, but it's also got a ton of hops in it.
IPAs scare me a little bit, and this one is very approachable. I agree with that. So for someone who might not be familiar with craft beer, what does the process of tasting this beer to get it to where it is in terms of the recipe? Is that like, you're just sitting around drinking a lot of beer, or is there something more scientific behind it?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think everyone looks at us and thinks that we have the best jobs in the world. Like, we just sit around and drink beer all day, and I wish that was true. Some days, once in a while it's true.
No, they wouldn't be wrong.
But mostly, we're doing, all the boring stuff that no one sees that happens behind the scenes in any business. No, it is more scientific than just the sensory that you get, although sensory tasting is a huge part of it. But looking at the hops you're using, looking at the malts you're using, and figuring out the flavors that come out of those, the products that make this beer, and then altering those ever so slightly just to make sure we get to that profile that we're really shooting for. And in craft beer, it is a lot of trial and error.
Which is just a roundabout way of saying we drink a lot of beer.
Well, all right, let's move on to our next beer.
All right, Liquid Escape. So Liquid Escape is actually the newest entrant to our flagship beer series here. And what we wanted to do is kind of fill a niche between the other 3 flagship beers, something a little bit different. And we landed on this beer, which we purposefully call a tart ale, not a sour ale. And the reason it's a tart ale is that's actually a blend of a sour ale and a non-sour ale. So it's kind of just in the middle of the two. And we use dried lemongrass and Australian sea salt as well to kind of dry it out, give it that nice citrusy flavor. I'd say it's a staff favorite here. We ran out of kegs a week ago, and there's been a bit of a panic in the past week. They weren't able to drink it, so it's back though.
Yeah. I was gonna say, I feel like I see a lot of people reaching for this one. So if someone's watching this and they've never had a craft beer before, what should they know before they venture into exploring craft beer?
Oh, I think that the best way to do it is to actually go to a brewery. Go to a craft brewery, wherever you live, whether you're visiting Williamsburg and you want to come see us, or you live somewhere else and there's a brewery down the road, I would go there, because the people generally that we work with in the industry, everybody is so passionate about the beer and they just want to help you experience it. So if you've never tried it, the best way to do it is go to a brewery, just sample some beers.
And I would say, if the first time you try a craft beer, you don't like it, there are thousands of different styles and thousands of different craft breweries, and you might find the next beer you try is your new favorite beer, or the next brewery you go to is your new favorite brewery.
Definitely. I always find it to be true if I walk up and I say, I don't really know what I want. Can you help me? That the person behind the bar is, yeah, what do you like? Yeah. What kind of flavors do you like? Can I help you find something? Do you want to taste something first? So I moved to Williamsburg about a year ago, and I was very interested to find that there are so many breweries in Williamsburg. Like, I feel like the brewing community is tight-knit, and I don't know if that's true or not. Can you speak to that at all?
We are tight-knit. That's one of the other things, about the brewing industry that really attracted us. We both came from very corporate environments, but what we saw when we visited breweries was the collegiality, the friendships between breweries, the way they worked together and helped each other out. We work closely with all the other breweries. We're all friends. We brew beers together. If we need something that we don't have on hand, an ingredient or something, we just call them. It's like calling your neighbor for some sugar.
Yep.
We do that all the time. We all do it. And it's one of the great parts about our industry. Yes, we're in competition with each other, but we're also striving towards the same goal. 12% of the beer that's sold is craft beer. So we're all trying to grow that pie together and get more people tasting our beers and trying our beers. And if we do that, we'll all be successful together. So it's a really nice feature of the craft beer industry.
Absolutely.
Let's move on to our last one, Elbow Patches. I'm excited, haven't tried this one before.
First time, all right.
First time.
So Elbow Patches is my personal favorite. I love the name. It kind of harkens back to our brewmaster's days as an English teacher, and Jonathan always joked that the students did not drive him to drink, but they drove him to find another career path. So no matter how delicious this beer is, a lot of folks are going to look at a dark beer in the dead of summer, especially in Williamsburg, and say, I'm not drinking a dark beer right now. So we completely get that. But Elbow Patches is misleading in the way it looks. It's dark, but it's not heavy. This beer is super approachable. Ton of chocolate malt, which gives off hints of chocolate flavor. Ton of flaked oats, which make it smooth and creamy. A little roastiness, almost akin to coffee. And it's just above 6% alcohol, so it's really drinkable, it's really approachable, and I find that it's actually very drinkable throughout the year, and that's why it is one of our year-round brands, and it's been with us since day one.
I enjoy it, and it smells delicious. I wish you all could smell this because it's very fragrant. It's really delicious.
Yeah.
I'm wondering about beers for a cause. I've noticed a lot of fundraising efforts and causes that you all are behind. So where did that idea come from? How did you get started with Beers for a Cause, and what is that like?
Breweries and communities have had a long-standing relationship, and we said, well, if we're going to come back, we want to come to a community where we have a relationship and where we can use the brewery as an agency for good. And so when Williamsburg became the choice and we reconnected with William & Mary, the obvious choice was, hey, how quickly can we brew a beer for the college in a responsible manner, and what can we do to give back by brewing that beer? So Green and Gold, which we brew for homecoming every year, is I think that was one of the first beers we brewed that was Beer for a Cause, and a portion of proceeds is donated back to the William & Mary Scholarships Impact Fund.
We've been so lucky. This has been a scary time for everyone in a lot of ways, and I know other people haven't been as lucky as we have as a business, but we've been really lucky. So when we kind of looked at each other and thought, well, let's just step it up. People are supporting us, so let's take some of that and support organizations in our community that might not be receiving that same kind of support we're getting. So I think we've kind of kicked it into the next gear, which we're really happy about. It's something we're very passionate about. It means a lot. It's kind of the core of our business. Beer, people, purpose is what we're about. You'll see it on our cans. You'll see it in our marketing. We really mean it when we say it. That purpose piece is just as important as the beer and the people piece.
So for our families who are joining us at home, how can they find Virginia Beer Company beer if they want to support you all?
Absolutely. So we've been very methodical about how we built our brewery, and one of the first things that we focused on was quality control. So when we first opened, you can only find our beer here in Williamsburg, and actually just here at 401 2nd Street here at the brewery. As we've grown, we've invested in our lab. Our brewmaster came from a much bigger brewery, so he's been able to really focus on building a quality control program and building out a laboratory in the back of the brewery, which allows us then to have a lot of confidence in the beer traveling. So now, 4 years in, we're proud to say that you can find our beer in most of Virginia. We also have beer available in the entire state of New York, as well as a few international markets.
We've been in Japan for just 18 months maybe, the UK for a year or so, Western Europe for maybe 2 years now. We're working on South Korea, Vietnam, Italy.
Visiting our website is the easiest way to find our beer if you're just looking to zero in on exactly where you live. But at the same time, if you live in any of those areas, if you go out to your local bottle shops, oftentimes you'll find our cans and our bottles on the shelves. If you go to your local craft beer bars, anywhere that has good taste in craft beer, you'll probably find us on tap. Visit our website, shoot us an email, we can point you in the right direction, and we hope that we'll be in more places soon.
What are your COVID-specific policies if anyone's coming in the next couple weeks? I know it changes frequently, so if someone's coming in the next couple weeks, what can they expect here on site?
So we have put a lot of focus on proper sanitation, on social distancing, team safety, patron safety. We met back in mid-March basically to shut things down, even before the state told us we needed to. Cleaning is what we do. I'd say sometimes our brewers joke that they're more janitors than actual brewmasters. So for us, I mean, cleanliness is the focus, and that goes into sanitation and safety as well. So all of that is listed on our website. We've got very detailed descriptions of what to expect, and hopefully making the experience as easy as possible on anyone coming by.
And I know we can't bring them here for family weekend, but hopefully some families stop by when they're either visiting their student or just making a trip down to Williamsburg for sure. I think that wraps us up for today. Anything else you want to leave us with?
I mean, I will say that ever since we crossed the Crimdale Bridge together and agreed to open a brewery, we haven't looked back. We love Williamsburg. We love William & Mary. We bleed green and gold. We've seen personal growth. We've seen professional growth. I mean, I think we're still shocked that the brewery is distributing beer across Virginia now, as far as Japan. You know, we've accomplished a lot, but we have so much more we can accomplish and so much more we can do, and we're just grateful for the opportunity to be back in Williamsburg and to be townies.
Thank you, Chris and Robby, and to the entire Virginia Beer Company crew for having us this evening. Thank you, families, for joining us for Beers and Cheers with the Virginia Beer Company. Please do tune in to our full list of activities tomorrow. You can check out the schedule on the Family Weekend website. We have some awesome lectures from our faculty happening tomorrow, and also lantern tours of historic campus, which I am really excited about. So please do tune in for those activities. Thanks for being with us this evening, and have a great night.